Coming up next on Grady Newsource. To better prepare for crisis intervention, the Southern Regional Board of Education is launching a new program to train school counselors.
There are people who have died from opioid overdoses, even though over-the-counter Narcan has become available in all 50 states.
The first case of a neurological deer-killing disease has been confirmed in Georgia. What this means and why it's important, coming up next on Grady Newsource.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College at the University of Georgia, this is Grady Newsource.
Tomorrow, families from Appalachia High School and advocates from the Barrow County group Change for Chi will head to the Georgia State Capitol. Their goal to turn local tragedy into statewide action. Grady Newsource reporter Anna Shogren has more on how they're making their voices heard.
Community members in Barrow County are preparing a caravan to the Capitol on Tuesday morning, joining a growing push for statewide school safety reforms. Change for Chi, a local advocacy group led by Layla Renee Contreras, an Appalachia High School alumna, is speaking out on the issue.
This definitely shook our community again, and now that we're in the legislative session, I think there's more support for some type of measures to be in place, a statewide approach as well.
Contreras has reason to care.
Right? I graduated from there, and this, my sister's still there. My mom is in the building.
Beyond the weapons detection systems now in place at all 3 Barrow County high schools, Change for Chi is advocating for broader reforms, calling for stricter gun access laws for minors and a nonpartisan law that would hold parents accountable when their children obtain firearms.
They need some type of preventative safety measures. I think it's great that, they're finally implementing them at the high schools, but there needs to be more.
The brother of Christian Angulo, one of the 2 students killed in last September's shooting, will speak at the Barrow County Board of Education meeting that same night.
There's power. There's power in the students. Change happens with the students. It really does.
Following the Appalachia High School shooting on September 4th, a new program is launching to support students' mental health. Grady Newsource reporter Rachel Sandstrom has a story.
This was the scene on September 4th, 2024 at Appalachia High School, a school shooting that resulted in the deaths of 2 students and 2 teachers. 5 months later, there are still scars. Dr. Stephen Pruitt is leading a plan to help heal them.
Once this is fully up and running, there will be 640 counselors from across our 16 states that could be deployed to support in areas of extreme tragedy.
Governor Kemp has promised $160,000 to SREB. That money will train 20 counselors, and SREB promises to double that number by March.
In stabilization and first aid, you're basically helping be a presence in the building. You're giving kids a place to go.
The Department Head of Counseling and Human Development Services at UGA's Early College of Education, George McMahon, explains what it takes to do the job.
It's almost like triaging. It's like doing that frontline assessment. You can almost picture it like in an ER. Of trying to figure out what do we need to treat right now, what do we need to refer out, and what can we address pretty quickly and then get them back into the.
SREB is focused on fostering relationships with school staff to bring about a more productive approach to school support.
So if something happens and they get a phone call from me that says, hey, let us know when you're ready for us to come down and help, they go, SREB, we know who you are. I don't know of any truly focused recovery efforts that extend past the first month after a tragedy. And we're going to be there for a year.
Rachel Sandstrom, Grady Newsource.
A class of UGA students are talking to Athens-Clarke County inmates through the Inside Out Prison Exchange Program led by Dr. Sarah Shannon. The goal to break down barriers. Reporter Alana Jacob has more.
Every week, this group of students visit the Athens-Clarke County Jail. And no, they're not in trouble. They're a part of the Inside Out Prison Exchange Program through the University of Georgia.
So Monday, Wednesdays, I try to leave here, get to the jail around 2-ish, and we have to go in around 2:20.
Dr. Sarah Shannon and her students at the Franklin College are working to bridge the gap between those incarcerated in the Athens-Clarke County Jail.
The Inside Out Prison Exchange Program actually started at Temple University in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, in the late 1990s. And it was started by a professor there named Lori Pompa.
Dr. Shannon, who prefers to go by Sarah in her classroom, started the program at UGA in 2017, and she's proud of the work she's been able to accomplish so far.
I was working in my office down the hall, and the phone rang, and my phone almost never rings. So I was like, what is this? And it was one of the public defenders from the public defender's office downtown Athens. And she said, this is kind of, strange, but I just wanted to thank you for this letter that you wrote for, it was an inside student who had been in my class, because the judge saw it and was so impressed that he gave this individual time served.
The program has 1,500 trained instructors, more than 200 correctional and higher education partnerships, and over 60,000 students worldwide. Ashley Hall, a third-year criminal justice major at the University of Georgia, has been a part of the program for 3 weeks so far.
I'm majoring in criminal justice and sociology, and in my future, I'm hoping to work for GBI or some sort of law enforcement agency.
Dr. Shannon believes that the impact of their work is bigger than Athens and important now more than ever.
Our culture and our politics is about othering, about, creating these separations, right? These people don't belong here. These people, are the bad guys. And I think that continues to be the power of this class, is crossing those boundaries, bringing people together in a safe way, in a respectful way.
Alana Jacob, Grady Newsource.
Just under a $1.2 million grant to University of Georgia researchers aims to save lives in the ongoing opioid epidemic. Aaron Pagankoff has a story.
It bothers me when I know that if we had been able to put this on the wall inside the building, maybe they would have survived.
They are the people who can't always access Narcan. Even though over-the-counter Narcan has become available in all 50 states, and although it's available, it's not accessible to everyone, and that can cost lives. It's why the University of Georgia's College of Pharmacy recently received a $1.2 million grant for a 2-year project focusing on using Narcan to combat the opioid epidemic, especially in rural Georgia.
So our proposal was unique in that we proposed a solution for rural Georgia, because right now, if you live in a major metropolitan area, you have access to harm reduction services and other things that can give people a better chance. But if you live outside of those communities, the resources become much harder to find.
Dr. Kale and his team are working alongside the Georgia Pharmacy Association CEO, Don Randolph, to find pharmacies in rural Georgia to participate in this project.
And so they're going to work with us and our independent pharmacies in rural communities to make all this come together, to collect the data, to collect the resources, and really save a ton of lives. A lot of lives can be saved just by having access to naloxone.
And this is just the start of what the grant will provide. Aaron Pagankoff, Grady Newsource.
We're 3 days into Black History Month, and we're bringing you a profile on one of UGA's first Black students to be admitted in 1961. Be back right after this break.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd, and I never graduated.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually, once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers. He connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far. A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark. touch.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
The beginning of February marks the beginning of Black History Month, a national celebration of African American perseverance. And while the South may be far removed from its days of Jim Crow, it was just over 60 years ago when the University of Georgia admitted its first Black students. Grady Newsource reporter Jack Keyes has a story.
In 1961, Charlene Hunter Galt and Hamilton Holmes dismantled an era of segregation in Athens and enrolled at the University of Georgia. It took a federal court case to do it. The case, Holmes v. Danner, decided just before the duo enrolled, deemed UGA's continuous denial of African American students unconstitutional. Both students eventually graduated from the university, with Hunter Galt becoming the first ever Black student to graduate with a degree from the Grady College of Journalism and Mass Communication, going on to positions at CNN, NPR, and PBS. So if you're in Athens and you're looking to celebrate Black History Month, there are plenty of things to do, especially right here at the University of Georgia, where they're offering a Steps Towards Inclusion tour, an immersive tour that takes you around some of the most historic spots on campus. And then tomorrow at 2 p.m. at the Georgia Center Hotel, there's the big event, the 25th Annual Mary Frances Lecture. That's free, open to the public. In Athens, reporting for Grady Newsource, I'm Jack Keyes.
Do you ever wonder where you come from? Well, the Commerce Public Library provides resources that help people trace their roots thanks to a family's tradition of giving. Grady Newsource Blake Cavanis is in at the library with more.
You might have seen PBS's Finding Your Roots. Jackson County residents don't have to be on a TV show to trace their roots. The Commerce Public Library hosts a heritage room where people can trace their family lineage.
The volume of materials that we have in our heritage room, we want to offer more programming with regards to researching one's history.
The room was renovated in 2013 with donations from the Dot and Lamb Hardman Foundation, which has been helping the library for generations.
My mother, Dot Hardman, was instrumental with a group of other ladies in starting the Commerce Public Library.
The family has provided funds and records from the Harmony Grove Mill that helps people track their families.
All of the records from the mill in terms of their employment were used by a lot of families and are continued to be used for family history.
The family continues to donate to the library. This year, it's with funds to buy more picture book shelves, like these.
The scope of a public library is so much larger than it was when I was growing up, which just meant you went and checked out books.
All thanks to families like Shell Knox's, whose ties to the commerce community inspires her giving.
That might even come down to putting the nickel in the plate when it got passed at the First Baptist Church as a little child, just learning that you always gave back.
Blake Cavanis, Grady Newsource.
Amidst rapid population growth in Jackson County, some local farmers are becoming increasingly concerned continued housing developments may impede on the county's rural areas. Gunter Schroeder has more from Jefferson.
It's a quiet Monday morning at 05 Farms just outside downtown Jefferson. Casey Oliver prepares to open her produce stand again next month, but it's getting more difficult each year.
Definitely we've faced some challenges, one being taxes on a large parcel of land. It's difficult to kind of come out in the black when you're forking out that kind of money up front.
The fact is, land is more expensive in the county these days. Since Jackson County is the fourth fastest growing county in the entire United States and the fastest growing in Georgia. That means higher demand for land and often higher property taxes.
I feel like the development being just booming right now. I mean, we're busting at the seams as far as needing housing in our area. So we're in the city limits of Jefferson. So any open land like this in the city limits is really sought after by developers.
But despite that, Oliver wants to honor the 6 generations of farmers that owned this land before her by passing on her love of farming to future generations.
We do this because we love it. It's our hobby. We don't do it full time, but we enjoy it. And we hope that they will one day want to take it over and continue it.
Gunter Schroeder, Grady Newsource.
The first case of a deer-killing illness was found in Lanier County, Georgia. There's no news yet on how many more deer have been infected with a dangerous disease. Eddie Newbert joins us in the studio with more.
Thanks, Olivia. The neurological alignment is known as zombie deer disease. It's fatal and can be found in primarily deer, elk, and moose. This disease could be a problem for hunters, but it is unknown how big of an impact it will have at this point. The Georgia Department of Natural Resources says that the next step is to figure out how far it has spread and what % of deer are affected. The director of the Southeastern Cooperative Wildlife Disease Study, Mark Reuter, says you shouldn't eat this tainted deer meat.
The risk based on, advice from public health experts, including the CDC, the World Health Organization, state that the risk is low, but it's not zero.
As we gather more information, we will keep you updated as much as we can. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Eddie. We will be back right after this break to hear what Thunvi has to tell us about this week's upcoming forecast.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie. So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
One of our favorite traditions here in the world of American weather is celebrating Groundhog Day. The beloved Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow just yesterday, indicating 6 more weeks of winter and cold weather. But if winter is this warm, you all will be just fine. This week we can take a look, let's look forward to some warm temperatures despite Mr. Phil's predictions, with consistent highs in the 70s and lows in the 50s. After some patchy fog just Tuesday night, you're going to see a 30% chance of showers from Wednesday night up until Friday. This weekend, expect to see showers clearing up with some partly cloudy skies and a 20% chance of rain this Super Bowl Sunday. Until Wednesday, enjoy the sunny skies and please don't trust everything you hear from a weather predicting groundhog. Lots of action in the sports world this week. Olivia, tell us more about some of the things you're hearing.
Oh, we've got a few. Come back and dive in with us after this short break.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
You're home before sunrise, on top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She carried 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand, trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
If you look ahead to Wednesday, you too can celebrate National Girls and Women in Sports Day. The Rock Lobsters will be hosting a Women in Sports panel prior to their matchup against the Columbus River Dragons. You'll be able to hear from women in the Athens area who work for UGA Athletics, the Rock Lobsters, and Learfield. Following the panel, University of Georgia sports media professor Vicki Michaelis will drop the ceremonial game puck. I had time today to sit down with Professor Michaelis to hear more.
This realm was initially established for men, and anytime you have that kind of a space and others are making their way in, there are of course questions, barriers, challenges to those new folks coming in. I think it is now a space where there is no denying that the women have equal space in sports, and so that's not to say those challenges will go away. It just means there are more of us there, and I'm hoping they will ease over time.
The Georgia High School Association is gearing up for the Swimming and Diving State Championship this week. Action is set to start with diving tomorrow at the Westminster Schools located in Atlanta. Prelims for A through 4A swimming will kick off on Wednesday at the Georgia Tech Aquatic Center, with 6A and 5A finals wrapping up on Saturday. Finally, Georgia men's basketball suffered another road loss to Alabama with a 15-7 record. The Bulldogs now look to face LSU at Stegman on Wednesday. Freshman Asa Newell has already made an impression on the Bulldogs. He's leading the team in points this season, averaging 15.2 points per game.
Thanks for those fast sports facts, Olivia. Coming up after the break, your pick for Best Dress at the Grammys.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, Mason. Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
The Dutch. Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Your home before sunrise. On top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
I'm not sure about you, Thunvi, but my social media has been flooded with the fashion fabs and the fashion flops from the Grammys. I'm sure that most of you guys have picked out your favorite looks, your least favorite looks, but today we put out a poll on the Grady Newsource Instagram and actually let some of you guys decide which outfit was your favorite.
Between Taylor Swift, Sabrina Carpenter, Chappell Roan, and Cardi B, the winner is, drum roll please. All right. You know, personally, I think Olivia and I are the best dressed. The celebrities might have designers, but they not like us. All right, the winner is Sabrina Carpenter.
That's exciting. I wish that we could talk about this all day, but unfortunately that is all that we have for you guys tonight on Grady Newsource. I'm Olivia Bontempo.
And I'm Thunvi Gujral, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Okay.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd and I never graduated.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually, once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers, he connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
The Dutch.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Goodness, we're up. Hey, Timmy or someone, do y'all want to come out and give us like what we need to know about tech to make your jobs better? Jennifer, thank you for a great show. Woo! Thank you, Jennifer. It was a really clean show. We had only one fact error. Ian yelled it out and I almost fainted. It turned out to be the spelling of his name, which is important. If you don't spell somebody's name right, how can you trust anything else we say? I am sorry. I will go find the person to blame. It might be me. All righty, so producer, take it away.
First, give yourselves a round of applause. Everyone got their that was awesome.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Bird.
That was, yeah. Teamwork was on point today. I saw so many different people helping each other out. Creativity was even better than it was last week. I love that show. I mean, everyone put together a great piece, and I absolutely enjoyed putting that show together. You guys made my life easier, probably made Holly Kate's life easier as well as AP. I mean, I'm just speechless. Like, I can't believe that was my first time ever producing a show, and it could not have gone any smoother than it did. I mean, there are still some things that we can improve upon, of course. There's always areas where we can improve, but absolutely, you guys all did a fantastic job. Very proud of everyone in this room, so just give yourselves a nice pat on the back.
Didn't we do that already? No,
no,
no, I'm kidding. All right.
Our second week, like, that was so good. Like, in being in the studio, like, everything was so clean. Like, Jennifer, like she said, like, this is one of her first times doing this, and she was like, I've been in there volunteering when I was a freshman and sophomore, and it's gotten so hectic in there before, and it was like pretty smooth from what I could tell. So, and it was so fun to watch. Like, Eddie, you did a great job. Shout out to you. I was very impressed with you. You did awesome. Anchors, the constant communicating with back and forth with each other is what we've been looking for, and I think y'all nailed it tonight. So, good job, guys.
Right. So, last night I sent you guys an email, and I asked you all to focus on 3 things. Did everybody read that email? Okay, great. So I want to hear from each of you about what you're proud of, but I want to hear what the 3 things are that you're focusing on and how you focused or didn't focus on them today. Let's keep it short so we do get a chance to hear from everybody, and then I can yell at y'all about stuff. Ooh, kidding a little. I loved the show, by the way. It was excellent and way, way ahead of where students normally are at this point in the semester. I know that sounds awesome and fun, and it is for me, because when you're that good this early, it lets me go, ooh, we have more fun stuff to do next, and I'm very excited about where y'all are moving. That said, take it away.
So 3 of the things that I've want to improve on and will continue improving on. Number 1, sourcing. I think from day one, I've improved a lot, just making sure that every fact has a primary source to back it up, whether it's a interview or a database or a government website, whatnot. Second, I really just wanted to relax. I feel like I am confident on camera. I don't know why I get so nervous sometimes, but I think today I did that a lot better. I ad-libbed a little bit. I was like, what's the harm if the script isn't right or we go off script? So that, for me, was the main thing I was proud of today.
Good for you. Do you have a third that you're going to work on?
Yes, but I forgot it.
Well, you're working on 2 then. Okay, which is fine.
3 things that I want to improve on. I would say I did a pretty good job. I wanted to improve last week, I know, on like brainstorming different things in case my story got changed or pivoted, and I thought that I was prepared for that today, and I didn't need to, so I feel like that's going to be something that I'll need to improve on when it actually does happen. I would say my like pitches and like the leads and tags, because I was quite confused. It was my first time doing like the TV reporting, so it was a little different from what I know as like digital side, because even in past classes we never did like live shots. The last thing I would say is there are questions that I forget to ask people when I'm interviewing, and then I have to call back and get the answer.
It's normal.
But that's just like a little thing, because you're always going to forget something. I would say I'm proud about getting an interview with the CEO of the Georgia Pharmacy Association, because that was a big part of the grant. And actually getting that, even if it was a Zoom interview, because she's in Atlanta, it was crucial to the story, and there's so much more I could go off of her too.
Good job. I wanted to say one thing. Olivia, you were a highlight in your sports because you finally gave us something other than that ugly gray background. Everybody take a cue from what Olivia did. If you've got a story, what I'd like for y'all all to do, oh my goodness, to do moving forward is think about what kind of graphic. We have an entire graphic bank that we pay for called MGN Graphics. They have lots of topical graphics. If you're going to be in studio, try to remember, nobody looks good in front of that gray. And you were fabulous with your graphics. Yes. Oh, what's your third one?
Just to get more creative and less rigid, and I think DeAndre and I accomplished that today on social media, just like throwing up a quick piece about the Grammys that we could then refer to in the broadcast. So.
And it was obviously successful because only in a few hours, you got, what, more than 100. That's pretty good because right now we're in a pretty small world. We expect that to grow over the semester. Aaron, I just want to tell you that is a wonderful first package. Rarely have I seen someone do a stand-up that you're just yourself. And your commitment and your intellect and your integrity about this story was obvious. So kudos to you. You didn't try to fake anything. It was really, really, really good. And it's a very important story. Blake.
All right. Probably the first thing I want to improve on was just getting it in on time, my package. And I luckily did with like about a minute to spare. I still want to do a bit better because I felt like I really needed like 30 more minutes just to polish my package. Just like a little bit more of like the say dog, see dog. Because I had the B-roll for like the stuff I wanted to talk about, but I just didn't have the time to like go through and make sure I had like put it in the right place. I just had to like start putting stuff to cover the last bit just to get it in on time. So probably that, and then just with writing as well, writing my scripts, making sure it's not too like rigid and a bit more like creativity with it. And I mean, we talked about that a little bit, and I feel like I'm getting a better grasp at it just because, I mean, since we've kind of just thrown ourselves into the fire, like, I mean, we're just learning as we're going. So I feel like I'm doing that. And then the last thing that I want to improve on is after I've like done my interviews and after I've shot a lot of my B-roll, it's like thinking about the script and thinking about what other shots I need to grab. I think sometimes like I've shot a lot of stuff and then I might do like an interview last and then I feel like I have everything, but there might be like one or two more things that I should go out and grab. But I felt pretty good about today. So.
I liked your story today. The story would have appeared to be kind of a nothing burger that a lot of people didn't relate to. So what? But you made it more interesting and you made it apply to a lot of people and you made it something more than just library shelves. So good for you. And I think if you'll really think about the creativity early on, and that will come, you guys are, by and large, I'm getting more confident in your primary sourcing. I'm starting to believe that you know what you're doing and you're going to do it every time. Doesn't mean I'm not going to keep watching. But as you become more comfortable with that and as you feel more confident with that and you go, please, I got this, that's going to release some of those brakes on your creativity. So it will come. My job is just going to be to remind you, you know, and to work with you and to push a little bit, but it will come. And again, I reiterate, you guys are ahead of the curve, so good for you. I liked your story.
Okay, so my first goal or like thing I wanted to improve on was not getting like stuck looking for my second interview, and I actually like got it done like pretty quickly, and it was a good interview. It was a good person for me to talk to. Yeah, and I got back here like pretty early in the day, and I was like, I'm gonna cruise today. And obviously that didn't happen. But I was proud of that, and I am proud of my package. But obviously the next thing I want to improve on is getting it in earlier. But like honestly, like I didn't know like what to do. Like my computer was saying it was gonna take 30 minutes for it to. I don't know. I don't like that. Okay. Wait, why did it do that? Okay. Yeah, so
just you and your tech issues.
Everything I touch.
Jinx.
I don't know. I guess like just becoming more familiar with Premiere would help me with that. But honestly, like I was on Premiere for like 4 hours yesterday. I was like, I'm gonna know how to do this when I get to class tomorrow. I don't know.
Stuff happens to everybody.
Yeah.
The bottom line is when you have a team that helps you, So Mickey, thank you. And then when we couldn't fix it, you know, and I poured out my not so wise wisdom over it. That didn't help. But it's not, we don't, look, no human being has the answer to everything. You know what's smart? Knowing who to call. And it's not Ghostbusters. So we called Andrew. So, you know, we have a team. Lean on the team. Yeah. You got it in. And I tell you, I wrote a note on your story. I said, Rachel knows how to interview. That girl is just dial-a-bite. Oh,
that's
and,
so sweet.
Well, you apparently know how to get people to talk. And I'll talk to you a little bit more, so I want you to save that story, and I'd like for us to spend a few minutes going over, because you had a real character there, and I think we could have made more of that, and he had important stuff to say. So, but good for you. Thank you. Jack, he learned the pivot today.
I certainly did. Thank you. I don't feel like I deserve a round of applause compared to some others in here, but...
different story this morning, and then he came in here and he was like, I don't really have it all ready, and I only really want to put it up on Wednesday when I know it's going to be the best. And then us and Cantrell were like, okay, well, what can we give him that we have? And we gave him the Black History Month story, and he ran with it and literally ran out the door, got it all done. Like, I think, what time was that at? Like, yeah, like 2. So really impressive. And you can give yourself a round of applause for that, Jack.
Y'all are going to have sore hands by the end of this show.
Great job today, so that's what I'll start off with. Thanks, Holly Kate, for the kind words. That was a fun pivot. I guess I'll start off with what I'm most proud of, because that's where we left off. We pivoted today, we troubleshooted. I was confident in my original piece, however, I didn't think it would have been as good, nearly as good with another source and potentially with some historical footage. So glad we got that done, glad we troubleshooted. Some things to improve on. Knowing who you're up against. I'm not sure if against is the right word, because people want to work with us, but whether it comes to Board of Commissioners, Board of Education, whether it be the Brown Media Archives, who I tried to crack through today, we're working on our own clocks, and we're very focused and we're very driven, but people aren't working on our clocks. And working through that and becoming used to the people I'm talking to, giving them due respect to give me a response back. That's something I should probably take forward in the next couple of weeks. And then finally, being more technically proficient. Maybe this goes for everyone, maybe just me, but I thought today's show was great. Newsworthy stuff, journalism, fantastic. But I think we can all take the next leap in making it look really good, whether it be with mics, with cameras, making it look like really, really good news, because I feel like that's what we're all capable of. Like, that was a really good show today, and we're really capable of taking it to the next level. And then finally, being more creative, unleashing that creative side, and making the news, making the mundane interesting. All right.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah. I was on digital today, so a little bit behind the scenes, and it was really fun. It was definitely different from what I've done the last 2 weeks, so I appreciated that. But the segment we're doing is going to be 1 post a day for 5 days, and so my goal today was just get as much content as I could now. And that went really well, but by like the 6th interview, I was just gassed, and hopefully that didn't come across in the interviews, but I feel like the energy with the first couple people versus the last couple people was probably different, and I'm obviously wanting that to not be the case for the final product. On my beat, am on Board of Education, so one of my goals was to find a way to connect with the board before I needed to interview them. And so I did a ton of research this weekend on like specifically who they are, and a lot of them are former military, so that was kind of a cool plug.
Oh yeah, you just go in your uniform.
Got to have some great conversations, so I feel like I'm building a network there that I feel pretty comfortable reaching out to now, which is really nice going into 6 weeks of being a reporter coming up, so that'll be good. But just general area of improvement, I feel like I got bogged down in the like, when you're doing education, everything freezes on the weekend, so if you're not preemptive Thursday, Friday, all your good ideas for the weekend are still work the day of. So my goal is going to be being timely with news, but also like reaching out as early as possible, because it is really unfortunate to realize on a Sunday that you want to schedule an interview for Monday with an educator that's going to be in the building at 7 a.m. and you're just not going to have contact with them all day. So definitely still sorting out that timing.
I think, Megan, you said some really important things. Thank you. And one of those things is Megan talked about knowing her beat. And from the beginning, I've encouraged you guys as nicely as I could to go meet your people. Have a cup of coffee with them, but not when you're in a hurry for a deadline. You know, people don't like transactional relationships, even though we know that they are. But, you know, people just don't want to be used and abused for the day that you need them for a story and then, you know, see you later. And that way, they will give you stories, and you will find yourself not just doing, you know, here's some more bad news, but stories that help give all of our viewers and all of our consumers on our digital spaces a much more 360 grasp of the communities we live in. News is not all bad news, but you think it was. There's much more that contributes to the warp and woof of community life and family life and human life. And if you want to get some of those stories, then you need to not just have transactional relationships. So those of you that are invested, and even those of you who may not be fully invested yet, I would just encourage you, there's nothing that'll get you more invested than if you go out and talk to these folks. You have the unique ability to make a difference in people's lives. Get in there and do it. All right, pass it around and make your life easier while you're at it. Alana.
So I think 3 things that I wanted to work on was being timely with my story. Also, not being as, obviously I have to be informational because I'm a reporter and journalist, but being entertaining and not just giving information because it's kind of boring sometimes. And I can't think of a third right now, but I definitely just wanted to make sure that I was timely in organizing my interviews and editing and everything like that. And even though like I still kind of overestimated the amount of time I had, I was a lot better today with my managing everything and managing my time. And Kentrell, I feel like you also helped me kind of like, turn on my, that was like so bad. I don't know, like you helped me like put the story together in my head. Because I think sometimes I can be a little all over the place or just make it too lengthy or too much going on.
It's big brain syndrome. You guys all have it.
Big brain, that's what I have.
Big brain syndrome. Think of everything.
So yeah, I think for next week, I kind of want to do what you did, what you helped me with on my own. But yeah, it was a great show.
I have no idea what that was, but you're welcome.
Me neither. You don't know. Yes, you do. No,
I really don't. Anyway. But okay, but I'm glad. Great. I'm glad.
Yeah, but today's show was so good. Like, I just have to say that, even though everyone already said it. This is the first show that I was like, ooh, like, what's going to happen next?
Yeah, we really can do this.
Yeah, it was great. So good job to all of you.
One thing I wanted to focus on today was definitely DeAndre had this idea of Beyond the Arch, and I really wanted to run with that because I just thought that was so cool. And it was a big hit when we did it on the Instagram, kind of like asking people like what they're looking forward to at the Georgia legislature. So I wanted to continue with that. And I think DeAndre did a really good job of like pushing me to like not just try and get students, even though that's who like a majority of the time is downtown, like going out and getting people. And I got some really great sound bites, so I'm excited for that. Another thing I wanted to focus on, which I think I leaned a little too heavily into, was last week, Professor Cantrell really pushed me to like get data sources and like obviously original sourcing, but you know, looking at research and stuff like that, and just being very factual. And I think I leaned too much into that when I thought I had like my story writing down pat, and I don't. So my next thing I want to focus on, and I think like when we get this video up tomorrow, that I've improved on is telling the story and getting the interest and then telling people the facts and just striking that really like that balance. So I'm excited for tomorrow and Wednesday covering the Georgia legislature.
Woohoo!
Okay. T-Bird on the mic. Yup, do the call.
It's so wrong.
Okay, so the first thing that I obviously wanted to work on was getting past this story. This story has definitely been a little bit of the bane of my existence.
We want more.
Yes, okay. But in a good way. I mean, I'm obviously very passionate about it, and it is an important story.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, so that was definitely my first goal was, okay, let's get past this. My second one was I knew that you know, the main point of it happened like 2 weeks ago, right? So I knew I was going to have to struggle with keeping it timely. Why does it matter now? Because it needs to go out, but how is it going to be relevant? I can't just retell
old news. So I knew I had to focus on, keeping that goal and keeping that angle of why now, which then led me to my third thing that I wanted to focus on was, well, I'm going to have to reach out to more people. I'm going to have to keep talking, what are people talking about? What is the buzz about this story? So I would have to push myself to be braver about reaching out to these public officials, because, you tell us all the time, they work for us, they need to talk to us. And I needed to keep that mindset the entire day. And did it work out today? No, it didn't, but I learned, and I'm excited to go to the Capitol on Wednesday and knock on some doors asking hey,
it's me again.
It's me. Let's actually talk this time. So, yeah.
Well, with effort, and we've seen, we saw what happened last week with Thunby when she was just never give up, never say die, and goes into, and is going along grocery store aisles and finds this former superintendent, and we've had a couple of instances like that. If you push, if you try, it will happen. So I expect when that story does happen, you'll probably scoop everybody because nobody is on it more than you. That I'm pretty sure of. So yay you. On this story. Yeah. All kidding aside, we'll talk about this a little bit later because I don't want to hijack y'all's meeting, but there is something to be said for sharing with viewers at some point a look behind the curtains and real transparency about how you do what you do. Not that it's all about us and that people really care about us, but it helps them to be engaged and to have some understanding of what's out there for them. Go ahead, Eddie.
Okay, so I was pretty proud of the way I handled things out before I got here, at least, was I didn't really have to ask for much help. I kind of produced everything on my own, and I was able to get everything pretty much the way that I wanted to, which I was proud of. But 3 things to work on are mostly all back here pretty much, which is first, I guess, would just be script writing probably. I feel like I have to check with Cantrell 50 times, and she's like, dude, I've already told you this. And I just getting it out the first time, at least closer to correct, so there's only 3 or 4 things to fix instead of 8 or 10. And then another thing to fix, I guess, would just be communicating with everybody, just that my story's not done yet, I need more time, and just being more communicative and things like that. And then really third is just calming down. I was in the studio and I walked in there and looked at the anchors and was I'm freaking out, but I was joking, but then I really was holy, I am free.
It's funny because it's true.
Yeah, I am free, and then I was God, I just need to get it out of my mouth. So so then I finished my story, and then everything was fine. But yeah, those are the things I got to work on.
Yeah, you did a nice job. You did.
Thanks, guys.
I'd say what I was most proud of today would have been the stuff I did after I got back here, and I got back at 2:30. I know we've said, try and get back at 1 if you can, and I don't think I've been back at 1 p.m. I'm 0 for 5 in that category so far. So,
it's a goal.
Yeah, I think I learned a lot from last Wednesday about just working under pressure with my editing stuff. Once I got my script approved, my editing was done in less than an hour, and I got it in on time, barely. But
actually, I think you were one of the early ones.
Was I? Oh.
Yeah, you were.
Interesting. So I mean,
I don't know what that says about everybody else.
I have no comment on that. I think one thing I would want to work on is maybe just asking for help while I'm out doing the story. I don't think I really need much help when I'm here and I have everything in front of me and I know the steps. But out there, it's real unpredictable. I mean, I talked to probably 9 or 10 people today and only one could talk to me. So maybe it's just planning a little bit ahead of time for that kind of thing and, have a set plan. Okay, go here first. If you can't find anything, then go here. Really, my best contact of the day came at the Farm Bureau. Even though she wasn't able to talk to me, she gave me the one source I got. So continuing to build my network would then be my next thing, is because now that I have these contacts, if I want to do another story on farming or something within the Jefferson City Council, like when I was doing the story last week on the lab explosion, I happened to run into a city councilman from Jefferson just in the neighborhood. So by chance, I've kind of grown the network a little bit, but if I have ideas for stories, before, maybe the day before, I think that would help me out a lot. And then maybe just, like Jack said, we're on our own clocks and everyone else is not always on the same thing. I probably had 3 people tell me, hey, I could do, an interview over the phone, but I can't talk to you in person today. And I, was on the road. And so I was like, you know what, I'll just go to this next place. And then they didn't have an answer. It was just kind of, unfortunately, recurring cycle today. So for Wednesday, hopefully, if I can nail down some interviews earlier, I think that'll be really helpful, and then gives me way more time and a lot less stress. If I get back here maybe an hour and a half earlier, I can plan my script out without trying to rush it or anything, and then, I don't get as many edits to the script and go-arounds as maybe,
you don't get that many.
Would. I mean, heck.
You're good.
Yeah.
I think all of that makes a lot of sense. I do wonder sometimes, you and Blake are both Jackson County, right?
Yeah.
And you guys were both in Commerce today, right?
I was more in Jefferson. I stopped in Commerce to go.
I just wonder sometimes, and Eddie and Jack, you're both Madison County, and you got a couple of people in Barrow and a couple. I do wonder. I think if you guys would talk a little bit more, you might find that you can help each other, because one of the things that when you're out there, you're by yourself. You get caught in your head. The negatives are expounded upon, or you feel them more. You can call in here for help, but really if you had somebody else with you, you can help each other. You'd be amazed at what you can come up with when somebody's sharing your pain. Thank you. Anna, I tell you what, A1, we used to have a reporter who always said, I'm lead, I'm live every day. And there she is. She doesn't say it yet, but she could. Good job.
Well, something I thought that I was going to be able to say I was proud of is that I actually locked in an interview before. Usually I'm getting in my car and knocking on people's doors, which ironically has worked out better because, like y'all were saying, people aren't on our clocks. So I kind of got stuck for a minute, but I did schedule an interview, which I'm glad I got that done. I wanted to get my script done faster because usually that's what keeps me held back when I'm in here, and I think I did that today, and I got my package in, definitely not right on time, but not running late sweating like usual. Something that I want to focus on is learning the tricks, like the inside out of a good package. I want to get the angles, the edits, the voiceovers. I don't have much experience in that, so that's kind of more like a semester-long goal. And focus writing to the video, like you were telling me, and also you were telling me trusting my gut, triple-checking my sources, the facts. I had a fact that we had in my script, and then she was like, go call the school. I asked them, and they were like, what are you talking about? So things like that, yeah, that's also more of a semester-long, prolonged thing that I just hope to get better at throughout this class.
Did a nice job today. Thank you. Anvi.
I was really proud of just the whole anchor experience. I had never done that, so I was really happy with how that turned out, and Olivia was great at giving me pointers and things like that. So overall, very smooth experience with all the producers as well. A lot of improvements can be made. I think one of the biggest ones being primary sourcing. I know a few people mentioned that, but so there's some improvement from last week. I didn't, stand outside a grocery store for hours. I made some more calls, but
that was a good thing.
Definitely could have made some more calls and could have put in more open records requests probably sooner. So I guess just setting those priorities straight, doing the open records first, then moving on to other things, because that takes the most time. Also, Grady Daily, that didn't work out today, and that's going to be my main goal for Thursday, is just getting that out, having the facts right, having that primary source.
Thursday will be a day late.
Oh, Wednesday. I meant Wednesday. I meant Wednesday.
That'd be really late.
And lastly, I had another one. Oh, yeah, I think just script writing. That's always been a goal of mine, and I think it got a little bit better. Like with weather, I feel like that went a little bit more smoothly.
That was really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm so
you did a
glad.
very nice job.
I'm so glad. But I think in general, just having that reporter's voice of, don't worry about what happened yesterday or last week, what is today. Especially with the Grammys, I know we went back and forth a lot, focusing on what's new and what do people actually care about. So definitely want to get better at writing more, yeah.
I like the Grammy thing.
Yeah, that was good.
I think you did a nice job with that.
That was so cute with the envelope.
Oh,
It was
it
very cute.
was. It
Whoever
was a
came
big old
up-
envelope.
Shout out to Cantrell for that idea.
I didn't even think. Anyway, so let me share some stuff with you guys because you've clapped, you've had a good time. Okay, I told y'all it was a really good show, and it was. But as no good deed goes unpunished, we're going to amp it up now. And I want to thank you for that. I am really grateful to not have to spend 10 weeks going, what part of getting good audio do you not understand? What part of jump cut? So now we're going to get to do the fun stuff. What graphic would be the most compelling? What stand-up will be the most engaging? How might we use the tool of visuals and video and the power of interviewing and getting that scoop to engage people in what you're talking about? That's fun. Frankly, I've had some semesters where I didn't get to that, so I'm very excited that I will get to that. Sure, you may not love it, but you'll thank me. I'm not sure when. I just hope maybe. But you will enjoy the work, I promise. Rachel already mentioned your dial-a-bite. You have a strength with interviewing. Obviously, people just want to tell you stuff. Sometimes there are people like that. You'll be a reporter that goes to your grave with all these secrets. But watch your jump cuts and trim those sound bites. Everybody, you know how when I talk and I go on and on, you just wish I'd shut up? Just imagine if I said one thing one time and then went away, you'd start paying attention to me, wouldn't you? Right? So don't let these sound bites drag on and on. Leave them wanting more. Watch your cliches. Today I killed a bunch of, as we all know, it's no secret. That's a big one. More than ever. I like that one. More than ever before. Good Lord, how do we know that? I'm going to start asking you guys to source that. Are we going back to the T-Rex era? Or shall we just go to the 1800s? I don't know. But if you say more than ever before in the history of mankind, you're going to have an issue. You guys are more creative than that. Dump some of the adjectives. If you spent some time in the print world, you'll know that stuff gets you in trouble. A lot of people go, well, I felt like his article meant this. I felt like it meant that. Remember, you have the power of video, and you have the power of people seeing the words coming out of somebody's mouth where you can go, hey, I set this up. This is what the person said. We didn't belabor it, and we don't need to use a bunch of adjectives. Just shoot interesting things. Shoot your story right to it, and your video will tell the tale. I promise you, when the World Trade Center, that's an extreme example, or a really cute puppy, if you sit back and let the video tell the story, hold yourself in abeyance a little bit, you will love what you produce and you will draw your audience in. I loved, kudos to you all. It usually takes at least 8 weeks before we get a pre-show tease that has stand-ups in it. I thank you all for doing those. Great job putting that together. It really made the show more active right from the jump, right? Do people still say that? Okay. Or has it been replaced with right from the get-go? No? Okay. The get-go. What? Oh, stop! Good one. I didn't write them down. There's no evidence. So let me go on to another thing so that I don't belabor these points. One little issue that we had, our poor anchors weren't sure what to do because we didn't put the carrots or those little funny face. Braces, thank you, not carrots. We didn't put the braces around the anchor. It's that that says which anchor's supposed to read it. So our poor anchor's like going, am I supposed to read this? Are you supposed to read this?
Because on this, it had us in the column. It just didn't say it on the teleprompter.
Yeah.
We figured it out.
You did, but the less you have to figure out, the better off. So one of the little things I'm going to say about, I digress, about the pre-show teas, now that we've done that, for heaven's sakes, ladies and germs, get off this campus when you're doing stories off this campus. I mean, I fully expected Eddie to at least have a tick or two. No, I'm kidding. But, you know, something by a tree if we're going to talk about deer, right? And then you're like on the lawn of the journalism building. Oh, I'm stressed out.
I hadn't filmed where I did the interview in Adderhold with the...
Oh, my God, that's even more boring. What's your story about? What's your story about?
Okay, listen, was I really, okay, honestly, I wasn't about to drive all the way to Barrow just to do a stand-up.
And there the truth comes out. Shame on you. And you knew we had some politics because I said so. But honestly, who else had a Barrow thing today that didn't go out to Barrow? You went out to Barrow, right? Okay, this is what I'm talking about with a team here.
I'm not on Barrow.
What are you on?
The state legislature.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting that. Okay. All right. So you yes, it was. So maybe what you could, this is where we talk about being creative. This bill is important to people, at least the people who it impacts care very much about it, right? And it's a certain sum of money, and it's about helping people through trauma. And the trauma that's kind of exacerbated or provided some impetus is, and it's not the only thing, but it's one thing, what happened at Appalachia High on September 4th in 2024. So if that's it, isn't there some creative thing we might have done? I mean, we've got a 30-minute documentary on it. Could we have perhaps put something up here and had you here? Think creatively. You may not want to go out there, but please visually and orally tell people why your story's so important, okay? So don't let me see y'all hanging around this campus. Get out of here. What was the third one?
Eddie.
I already yelled it. I mean, I already encouraged Eddie. I already encouraged Eddie.
Eddie, Rachel,
Aaron, yours was fabulous.
Go
Anyway,
Aaron.
yes.
Only because she had the Narcan.
No, it's because she's Aaron and she worked on the story, and it's going to be a whole series. I think you guys. I will say it again. You guys did really, really great. You need to get 2 interviews. We talked about this last week. Okay, an information interview and an impact interview is, the holy grail. But you got to get 2 interviews. You can do it, okay? Remember, we went over the diagramming thing this morning. That should help you. Any comments? Anything? Yes, DeAndre, I'm sorry. They did. That's okay, Dan. Please share.
Digital team did great today. I'm really proud to work with y'all, from Jack to T-Bird to Eddie. Y'all all was and Megan and Shelby, excuse me. Y'all all did great today, from communicating from the get-go. After the pitch meeting, y'all kept me in the loop. And we got some things posted. Like, let's give out some analytics, should we?
Oh, yes. Yeah, bring it.
So our story, let's see, the story post has gotten 193 views so far. That's in counting. In our post now, you are at 209 views. So make sure y'all go like it, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube, Instagram, all the things. Yeah. I'm pretty excited for what this week has to bring. Y'all did great. So yeah, thank y'all for making my life a little bit easier. Yeah.
All right. We're back to you.
All right, time for the Producer's Choice Award.
Woo!
All right, starting off, we have, if this works. There we go. Best teammate, Holly Kate. If it was me and DeAndre decision. If Holly Kate didn't push everyone today, none of those packages would have been in on time. And also, she made a constant effort to check in on everyone, update teases, update everything. So, big round of applause for you, Holly Kate. All right. All right. Next up, we have Best Storytelling, Jack Hughes. I mean, on such a short turnaround, you put together a great piece, got the B-roll, go film the stand-up. You did everything, bro. It was a great story. I enjoyed it. Your way of storytelling in general, you have a great voice, very engaging story. So good job, man.
Yes, job.
All right, and then Best Presentation, Aaron.
Yes, Aaron.
I know you've been working on this story for a long time, and I think overall you did a fantastic job with the interviews, the B-roll, and everything you put together, and I think it came out really great, especially with that live shot. You tried something different at the end, and I think that you were fantastic at that, so good job. All right, and then we have Most Engaging, Tanvi. She had a couple of nice references, especially with the Not Like Us and the groundhog at the end. Yeah, and you were very conversational with Olivia as well. Good job to shout out to Olivia as well. But you guys had great chemistry. I mean, the way I had envisioned the show, you guys showed your personality and your creativity. So good job to you guys. And then Most Resilient, Rachel. I know we told you like 10 times to refilm your pre-show tease, and she did not question it once. She just kept going at it, and then we know you had trouble, with the Adobe, which was unfortunate, but you got something up, and it was a great story, so good job to you.
Good job. And our new award. Oh, wait, never mind.
I mean,
The last award I wanted.
What was this blooper?
I don't know. They don't.
It was
the live shot. It was, never mind.
Oh.
But you came back well from that, so kudos to you for that. All right, and then our...
This is the one we added. Woo! He wanted his own headshot and not the other headshot. Y'all, he said no. So we added this because DeAndre literally is so awesome, and you were just making us laugh. And like I was just like stressed out over here, and you were like, "It's okay." And like we were talking about the Grammys, and it was just so fun. So thank you.
Well, so I will end this by saying this is way too much fun for news, okay? But reality, if you guys weren't doing some solid journalism here, if you weren't talking about things like how to save lives when we've got opioid addictions, if you weren't taking stories about libraries and looking into genealogy and making those interesting, if you weren't talking about what's going on with agriculture and taxation and getting some critical facts out, if you weren't talking about prisons and UGA students and how that's working, if you guys weren't doing real news, I would be not loving all this yahooing. But you guys, and Anna, your work, and I know I'm missing people, but you guys are doing some serious stuff. You're doing some hard stuff, and you're paying attention to the community and the issues. I can't wait to see what you guys come back with the General Assembly. I'm pretty proud of you guys. I don't want to get overly excited. There's still a lot to do. But just know that, like all the fun and laughter, I would not be having it if you guys weren't doing real news. But to do real news and to be able to make it engaging, that's what's going to move your profession and this country forward. So thank you for that. Okay, bah humbug! I've had enough. This antenna's